bring in Ian Lee, a business analyst at Carleton University. And thanks as always for joining us.
My pleasure, Roger.
What does that tell you when they say it was over 99, nearly 100% of the flight attendants who voted said no to the wages?
Well, this is an unusual situation. I'm unionized at the university, and typically, when a union negotiating team negotiates a deal, they have a good sense of what the membership wants because the membership has to vote for it. So, and most of the time the membership does vote. At least that's been my experience, and I've been working for 35 years or more. So, and normally they do support the agreement put forward, negotiated by the union leadership with the management. So this defeat is unusual in and of itself. Secondly, you look at the magnitude of the defeat. I mean, I can't remember the last time that 99% of the members overturned or voted down the deal negotiated by their own leadership. So it suggests that they're very, very upset. The people in the flight attendants union are very upset, and so this is there's problems ahead.
And now they're talking about mediation, possibly arbitration. Do you think this can be resolved in that process?
It would appear that they're, based on their public utterances on both the side of the union and the side of Air Canada, that they're very far apart in terms of what the new demands are, if you will. And so that's the first point. The second point is when it goes to arbitration, I mean, I think it's inevitable that the arbitrators, one or committee, will have to look at the industry and look at competitive forces and average wage settlements in other companies in the industry. I'm not here to defend either side. I don't consult to either side. But I've been studying the airline industry in the strategy course for literally a third of a century. It's a brutal industry. Warren Buffett, who's no slouch at analyzing companies, said the airline industry was one of the worst of all industries. And he said jokingly on a video presentation to a business school in the States, somebody should have shot Orville Wright in 1906, and he would have saved billions in losses because the aggregate profits in the airline commercial aviation industry in North America, more specifically the US, from the beginning into the present, the profits have been less than the losses. In other words, they've lost more money than they've made. So it's a very uneven industry. Some years they make, yes, record profits. In other years, as we saw in COVID, but not only in COVID years, where the union, in any recession, they tend to lose billions and billions. So this is a reality. Wages are about 25% of total operating expenses in the airline industry. Fuel is 30%, and you haven't even purchased a single plane. Then you've got landing fees, you've got corporate taxes. So my point being that this is not an industry that is, as some allege, that is largely a highly profitable industry. If you look at the long-term yield in this industry, it's not. I would never invest in an airline industry, in the airline company.
Okay, and could we see a strike? They've said there won't be a strike or a lockout, but could we see that if they can't agree on salaries?
There have been instances, and I studied this certainly when I was doing my PhD thesis on the post office. In the final third of my thesis, I ended up studying the incredible number of strikes that occurred, illegal strikes, by the way, initially, that led to the introduction of collective bargaining in the public service in 1965-66, introduced by Prime Minister Pearson. And so there is a history, not very often, but we do have some illegal strikes in Canada. And then it becomes very difficult. It's very problematic. It gets very ugly, and it will typically require the intervention of Parliament.
Okay. Ian, thanks as always for your insight. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Roger.